Scotland, land of rugged landscapes, rich culture, and an enduring spirit of independence. But between 1296 and 1357, Scotland was a battlefield, not just between the Scots and external forces, but among the Scots themselves. The Wars of Scottish Independence were not just a struggle against the English, they were also a series of internal civil conflicts that would shape the fate of the nation for generations. In this video, we dive deep into the complex history of the Wars of Scottish Independence, exploring the political intrigue, shifting alliances, and bloody battles that defined this turbulent era. To understand the Wars of Scottish Independence, we must first look at the historical context. In 1296, the Scottish kingdom was a patchwork of factions, each vying for control. This internal instability was exacerbated by the death of the Scottish king, Alexander III, in 1286, which led to a disputed succession. The throne was left vacant, and Scotland descended into a civil crisis. The claimants to the throne, John Balliol and Robert Bruce, represented different factions, both with powerful supporters. John Balliol was a figurehead backed by English King Edward I, while Robert Bruce, from a long-standing noble family, hoped to restore Scotland's independence from foreign influence. But even before England's intervention, Scotland was already teetering on the edge of civil war. By 1296, Edward I of England would take advantage of the situation, asserting his authority over Scotland, which would mark the beginning of the Wars of Scottish Independence. Edward I, often called Longshanks, wasted no time in asserting English dominance. In 1296, he invaded Scotland, deposing John Balliol and imposing direct English rule. This sparked widespread resistance, with figures like William Wallace rising to the forefront. Wallace's victory at the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297 was a symbol of Scottish defiance. His brutal tactics and leadership inspired many, but the rebellion was short-lived. Edward's crushing victory at Falkirk in 1298 led to Wallace's eventual capture and execution. However, the resistance continued, with Robert the Bruce, now a key player, solidifying his position as a national hero. The turning point came in 1314, at the Battle of Bannockburn, where Robert the Bruce decisively defeated Edward II of England. This victory was not just a military triumph, it was a defining moment in Scotland's long road to independence. The defeat of the English marked the beginning of a new era, with Scotland gaining its freedom after the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton in 1328. However, the peace was short-lived. The Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton did not fully settle Scotland's internal conflicts. After Robert the Bruce's death in 1329, Scotland was again plunged into political instability. Bruce's young son, David II, ascended the throne, but his reign was weak, and the country was soon divided by factions seeking power. The Balliol faction, which had lost out in the First War, now sought to regain control of Scotland with the support of England. The English, still resentful of their defeat, eagerly supported the Balliols in their efforts to reclaim the throne. This period marked the start of the Second War of Scottish Independence, which would last until 1357. Key battles during this second phase of the war, such as the Battle of Duplin Moor and the Battle of Halidon Hill, saw Scottish forces fighting amongst themselves, Bruce loyalists against pro-English factions. Despite these setbacks, Scotland's resilience endured, and with English political turmoil following the death of Edward III and a weakened claim on Scotland, a fragile peace was reached. In 1357, the Treaty of Berwick was signed, ending the Second War of Scottish Independence. While David II was forced to return to England as a prisoner for several years, Scotland's sovereignty was effectively maintained. However, the aftermath of the wars left Scotland deeply scarred. The long years of conflict had weakened the nation's infrastructure, and the divisions between factions were far from healed. The internal divisions did not disappear overnight. Scotland's history of civil conflict would continue to impact the political landscape for years to come, leading to future struggles for the throne and even more violent power shifts. The The Wars of Scottish Independence were not just wars between two nations, they were civil wars, where the forces of national unity clashed with personal ambition, and external powers exploited Scotland's vulnerability for their own gain. From the rise of William Wallace to the eventual success of Robert the Bruce, these wars ultimately shaped the Scottish identity as we know it today, a nation forged in the fires of internal division and foreign domination. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the Wars of Scottish Independence. The legacy of these conflicts is still felt today in Scotland's national consciousness. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth historical content. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present.